What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Bad Podcast, Brad and Dwayne. Hey, listen, have you ever wondered how people around you impact your success? Are you leveling up with high performers or are you dragged down by people with low energy? Today, we're going to dive in. Brad's going to talk about it. Let's get into it, B.
Hook and a half.
Hooking.
Boom. Hey, guys, we're coming off of a big week. It's Read Across America week this past week, and it was Dr. Seuss's birthday over a week ago. A week from yesterday, it was his birthday. So out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsie as you. And then when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too.
Hey, Dr. Seuss is the GOAT.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
What it look like, what it be like, what it do. Back in here, another episode of the Bad Podcast, Brad and Dwayne, your favorite podcast that come out every Monday. If you didn't know, now you know. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, you found us on that hook. Thanks to ChatGPT. But
Subtle plug.
Also, yeah, I know we need an endorsement. I use them so much. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, man. We found out that the Apple Podcast app is our number one source for people listening to the podcast. So if you're listening and you're on your Apple device, there's a part of it that you can help us out, man. Hit that review, man. There's a review on the Apple Podcast. Give us those 5 stars because you love what you hear. You hear every Monday. Leave us a review. Give it those 5 stars. That helps out the podcast more than you know. Also, found out, man, we got a new demographic, man. Irmo, South Carolina. Big shout out to Irmo. The listenership increased there, man. If you're from Irmo and you're listening, you're watching on YouTube, you're listening on your podcast, man, let people know, tag us. Let us know who those folks out there in Irmo, South Carolina, man. We want to shout y'all out and give you love. And I've also turned back on the comment section on our YouTube channel. Went through a transition where, people were a little extra opinionated, but we had to transition from that. But now we're back. So the comment section is back open. So another way you can help this podcast is by leaving a comment in the comment section, and we'll highlight some. We'll start bringing that aspect back to the show, man. So, all right, Brad, man, let's get into it. We quoted Dr. Seuss, the GOAT, the GOAT of the GOATs, man. One of my favorite authors. I can honestly say that.
Man, so I had the great opportunity this past week to read to my former high school that I taught at, read at another high school in front of a bunch of elementary and middle schoolers. But then this past Friday, I got the neat opportunity to read to my son's class. And it was just a really cool thing, man. And, there's so many opportunities to influence and impact people in a positive way. And that's sort of what we're going to talk about today. So it ties right in. But I will say this, Dr. Seuss that's a really tough read. I will say Prep, Rep, Repeat is probably an easier book to read than some of the Dr. Seuss content out there. There's so many tongue twisters, man. And I get caught up and, man, then I start thinking and I start feeling a certain sort of way. It's just like fitness, man. We start to feel this like, this anxiety, right? Start to spew, and it's just like, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to mess up. And then it leads to fear and inaction, but we're not even going there today.
I know, like that's a whole nother topic, man. Like we need to bring that one back, man. Cause I talk to people all the time that fear the gym, for that very reason. Like people are going to be looking at me like, bro, you've never been to a gym. Ain't nobody looking at you. like this isn't Walmart. Like ain't nobody, looking at you. They come to work and they come to get out of there. Actually, they don't want to be bothered with you. They tell you to hurry up, get out of their machine. But anyway, let's get into today's topic.
If you fear it, chase it. That's the mantra.
I like it.
That's my mantra for 2025, man. And it's, again, we're not really talking about that. We'll have to have a part 2 to this podcast, but
I'm about to come on the back with that too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, just to speak to the gym, man, it is scary to walk in there for the first time. But you know what? Also scary. One time we couldn't walk. And here we are walking. Here we are running. Here we are climbing stairs. But at one time we feared getting up on our own 2 feet. We feared riding a bike. We feared, going to school. We feared going into the professional world. And here we are. So if you fear it, chase it. And, it's just like the old push-up saying. At one point, you couldn't do 5 push-ups, but today 5 push-ups is your warm-up. So if you fear it, chase it. Yeah.
Wow.
Again,
I
not
love
going there.
I about to say not going there, but I want to say something too.
Yeah, we may go there.
We made it, but no. Before we get into it, so and I literally was thinking about this. It's so random, your mind just goes. But it's funny. I was thinking about our boss, man, Jeff. You know how much he hated jumping out of airplanes, but he was here in Fayetteville, the 82nd, so he had to do the thing that he feared, quite often. And I'll just it cycled in my mind just about, even though you're scared, don't be scared. You can be scared, but you can still do it. There's nothing wrong with doing it while being afraid, man. So all right, we're gonna try to get off of it.
Well, let's talk about Jeff for a minute then, and we will segue to the point of the podcast. And
See
we're
your
talking
path.
about
Go ahead.
yeah, boy. Okay? So high performers and low performers, right? That's what I wanted to talk about today. And Jeffrey is a high performer. Now, I was reading this article the other day about high performers and low performers, and being within 25 feet of a high performer can enhance your performance by 15%. 15% your performance will be raised if you're within 25 feet of a high performer. Every time I go down to Charlotte and I'm around the gang, my performance improves. I get better. When I'm doing a live, I'm clicking on all cylinders. Sometimes when I'm over here in solitude, I'm over here by myself, I'm just trying to stay afloat. I'm stagnant. I'm here. I'm existing. Some days, right? But when you're around high performers, your performance enhances. But here's where the statistic gets a little funky, right? If you're within 25 feet of a low performer, your performance actually decreases 30%, two times what it would enhance. Yes, 2 times what it would enhance by being around a high performer. Why is this? It's because more impactful. Unfortunately, that's just the society that we live in. People surround themselves naturally with people that complain, people that are in the dumps. Eeyore. People want to be around Eeyores, and the reason being is because it's a lot more relatable to be around those individuals than it is a high performer.
Yeah, I have a good Eeyore impression.
Let's see it.
Let's hear it. Nobody wants to be around when no Eeyore's around. Winnie the Pooh. I'm just sitting over here with my tail falling off.
You need to record that, drop that somewhere. You need to drop that somewhere. That is good.
Oh, Eeyore. But no, man, that it's so interesting how that statistic is skewed when it comes to success versus, potential of, I guess, being active or whatever versus not. Because you mentioned it, it's so much easier to fall into that crowd that's lazy. That's man, but here's and listen, it's only easy in that moment. It's hard. It's also hard because what you're doing to your body, what you're doing to your mind, what you're doing to your life, when it comes to just goals, and that's, just talk about choosing your hard. You can work hard on this side and see, prosperous. You can see some things happen, some dreams happen, some goals happen, or you can be lazy now and then see, regret, agony, all of those things, man. So it's just interesting how the stat is skewed for the negative because it, in the moment it seems that much easier. And I think I may have watched a similar video. A guy was saying, like, if you're around, what does he say? If you're around 5 millionaires, you'll become the 6th. If you're around, 5 cigarette smokers, you'll become the 6th type thing, man. And it kind of goes in that same path.
I think you were just reading Prep Rep Repeat because I quoted that.
You mentioned
quote.
that?
Oh yeah, I quoted that quote. Yeah, I heard that like probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it just resonated with me. Because a lot of times in life, the easy way out is disguise, and I always like to paint an image for everybody that's listening because I think imagery is a good way to just understand, right, or visualize it. So I'm going to paint an image. You get to a fork in the road, and you look to the right side. It's sunshines, it's rainbows, it's a yellow brick road, and it looks as if, oh man, that's got to be the way I go. That's got to be my choice. I got to go this way because if you look off to the the road is crumbled. You got a storm rolling in, it's lightning bolts and thunder and all that. But what happens is that easy way out, it's disguised, right? And once we start to go down that path, it's just an endless path to nowheresville. But if you go down this way, it's like the buffalo and the cow story, right? If you go into the storm like the buffalo does, you're gonna get through that storm. But if you retreat from that storm like the cow did, the storm's always going to follow you, and you're always going to be in that turmoil and storm. And just to speak to energy, we're talking about energy. You and I, we get on this podcast week after week after week, and we're just positive, right? We bring that energy, boy. We bring it to the fullest. Why? Because energy is contagious, just like negativity is contagious. Just think about the last time you went into a place, a social setting, and someone was like, "Hey, man," Eeyore voice, you do it. "Weather sucks today." Yeah, man. Yeah, it does suck today. My life sucks too. But what happens? It's just an endless conversation of what value do you get from that? But again, just to speak to your millionaire thing, if you go hang with 5 millies, you go hang with 5 millionaires, and you're talking about stocks, you're talking about investments, you're talking about health and fitness, you're talking about wealth. What's naturally going to happen? That's contagious. That conversation is contagious. That energy is contagious. And that's where we got to live. We got to live in that positivity. Yeah,
absolutely. That reminds me when I used to work at the pickle factory during the summer, Mount Olive pickle plant. Shout out to them.
Can we get them as a sponsor?
You know what?
Pickles are big in the running world, man.
Listen. I'm gonna reach out. My dad retired from there. I'm gonna see if he has some connects, like that, legit.
Big in the running world.
While I was working there, it's almost the culture to complain. Like, even if nothing is wrong, like I remember just reciting complaint quotes. How's it going today? Oh man, it's terrible. It's hot.
You can write a book.
Yeah, man, I wish I was you. You got it better than me. And when's payday? It was just you just rehearsing the same complaints, the same negative energy. And I have to shout out my man, Mr. Eric Robinson, man, because he would never hire me full time. Like I didn't go back to school, and I kept working, and I was like, man, I'm gonna work full time, man. He let me stay after the season because I was a seasonal worker, and he would never hire me full time, man. And then when I got a job with Head Start and went to him, I was like, well, I got a Head Start job, I can start. I was like, why you never hired me full time? He's like, man, listen, it's like, I see your potential. You're bigger than this place. I didn't want you to get locked in, because it's that cycle, man. And he saw, he saw some potential there, man. So I always shout him out when I think about that, man, because, he could have just hired me on. And I mean, I ain't gonna say I'll still be at the pickle factory because, I do have ambitions, but the fact that, just that whole environment of saying the same thing and the same complaints and all these are the things that you're around all the time, and that like we mentioned, is going to rub off on you. So,
Well, this is a perfect time to talk about this Japanese philosophy that I've been reading about. It's called Motainai. In the Motainai, all right, it's Japanese.
We need a gong going on.
If you can add that in after the fact, I think that'd be a nice little feature. Perfect time to talk about this because you talk about you have ambitions, right? You are an ambitious guy. You're chasing goals and such. But unfortunately, when you get into environments like this, your ambitions they die. Right? Because, you're there for one day. You're like, I'm still ambitious. I'm still going to go chase this and I'm going to pursue that. Day 2, you're like, I'm pretty ambitious and I still think I want to go chase it. Yeah. And then week 3, week 5, it's just like fitness, man, I'm excited. I have enthusiasm. I'm going to take over the world on day 1, day 75, day 450. Are you still ambitious? Now, what is Motainai? Motainai is the Japanese philosophy that states, don't be wasteful, having a mindfulness of the environment and the people in your life and avoiding unnecessary waste. Now, you talk about the relationships that you have in your life. A lot of relationships that we have are people that we grew up with, people that we work with. Fortunately for us, D, we work with a lot of ambitious people. So we are driven. right? But you go into that factory setting, a lot of times, we lack the mindfulness of our environment and in that waste concept. We have a lot of pointless conversations. Like, why are we talking about the weather?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's raining. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything about that. Okay, the traffic was bad today. I can't do anything. The news said this. I can't do anything about that. But what's happening is, because we're squandering those conversations, because we're squandering those relationships, and we're not aware of our surroundings and our environment, we're not making the right decisions. We're not taking the right actions. We're losing ambitious, because again, that is contagious.
Mm-hmm.
Motainai.
Multi-night.
Everybody look that up. Dun.
No, that's spot on, man. I don't even have anything to follow up with that, because you spoke to it directly. You don't want to waste that talent and that ambition, and
Mhm.
and it is definitely true about after the days go by, if it's not being fed, if it's not being it definitely affects that. And just talking about our team, Jeff even talked about it on the live on Sunday, not this past Sunday, Sunday before last when this drops, but he talked about how coming to the studio, and like we got, Eric got his meals already prepped, I have my meals, Manny got hers, and it makes you want to,
Yeah.
eat healthy, do healthy things, Jeff still orders out, but he do healthier
Yeah.
choices now. He leave out
Yeah.
the fries. We get Greek every time.
No, it just forces you to level up, man, because again, that stuff's contagious, man. If
For
if
sure.
if you go to work and everybody's eating a Big Mac and you're eating chicken and vegetables, day 2 you may still eat chicken and vegetables. Day 3 it's like chicken and vegetables and potato chip. Day 4 it's okay. I'm having the Big Mac today.
So listen, here's where I'm gonna disagree, because for me, when I see them eating Big Mac, I'm eating healthy. I mean, y'all judge me later, but I'm like, I'm better than y'all.
Mhm.
that's,
I
that's
like
my
that
mindset.
mindset.
You
Yeah,
know
but
what I
that's
mean?
not the
Like,
masses though.
yeah, no, that's real. That's real.
Yeah. No, dude, I mentioned this in my book too. Change your friends or change your friends,
Yep.
and it starts with a mindset, right? And it starts with that mentality of, I can do better. I can do something for myself. And it's just convincing your friends, hey, level up, man.
Yeah.
Follow
Yeah.
suit.
For sure.
And you get to the crossroads and have to make a tough decision. You change your friends, or you have to change your friends. It's such a hard thing to do, to um, separate yourself from people that you love and care for, people that
For
you've
sure.
known for your entire life. But unfortunately, sometimes, your closest companions are your heaviest weight. And
Yeah.
if you're holding on to dead weight, if you're holding on to weight that's holding you back, shackling you back to your past, like, at some point you got to let go. And I think
Yeah.
to move forward, that's the biggest thing today, is just let go, man. Be aware of who's around you and what they're doing for you.
Yeah, no, I call that friend management. Everybody can't be, and I mean, you can still love them and still,
Mhm.
have that whatever time, it may be limited, as opposed to, what you used to say, Tasty Thursday and Fat Friday or whatever. You instead of hitting them on those nights, man, just just on a conversation or a text thread or whatever. And it's just managing them better, that best fit you, because
Mhm.
it's like you mentioned, it's hard to cut people totally off, and they may cut you off because
Sure.
you're not getting the pizza, you're not, doing those things
Mhm.
that you used to do. But that's where I really lean into, I call it friend management, like knowing, this group of friends is these are my millionaire friends,
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
my childhood friends, and I
Mhm.
understand how to navigate between the two. So yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
really good, brother.
Yeah, I like that friend management concept, because like I even like think of it. I'm an imagery guy, right? I think of it as
Yeah.
like almost like a graph. Like, how much time do I want to spend with these people? How much time do I want to spend with these people? I find myself more and more, wanting to spend time with my family,
Yeah.
wanting to spend time with people that have those goals and those ambitions to level up in life. Um, because it's so easy to get caught in this redundant cycle of just falling in place and doing what everybody else is doing. But if you can be around those people that are always trying to raise the bar in life, you're almost forced to
Yeah.
to follow suit.
Yeah. Or you could be a game changer,
Game
and
changer.
that's that's something that I kind of pride myself in with you know bringing people up around me.
Mhm.
People, when I joined E2M, it was just me and my wife,
Mhm.
and that impacted so many people around me and brought them up to that level. Now,
Mhm.
they're coming, they're coming up. You can influence circles as
Mhm.
well. Even if they are negative, you can be the positive light in that circle and maybe begin to turn those conversations. That's another aspect of it as well because, you know, uh like I said, I like the term game changer because a lot of times, the tide is going one way. You can step up, you can be that person, like, hey y'all, let's stop talking about negative stuff today. Like you mentioned, like the weather, we can't do nothing about the weather.
Right.
Anybody got any ideas?
Yeah.
Anybody got any business plan? Like what are
Yeah.
you doing with your checks on Friday? Like,
Mhm.
and you can be that beacon and then
Mhm.
turn that group into a positive group for
Mhm.
sure.
I've done a handful of Tough Mudders in my life.
Mm,
It's an obstacle race between 10 and 13 miles, and they had this obstacle. I think it's called the Loch Ness Monster.
mm,
Same concept of what you're talking about. So to get over this thing, it takes one person to get over this thing, but there are several people that cannot get over it. And what I want to do is I want to create another image. It's a rectangle that goes across a pond, right? A
mhm,
body of water. And this rectangle, it revolves. It goes spinning around and around and around. It's very difficult to get over that obstacle. But once one person gets over and lends a hand, all right, now I get one person over, and it's really hard to get that one person over. But guess what? One person turns into two, and now we're helping several people over. Now we're getting more people across that obstacle. But here's what
mm,
happens too, right? And to the other side, to speak to the other side of this thing. So if I get over, right, and I stay there and I continue to help people over and over and over this obstacle, I stay there for life, right? So at
mm,
some point, what we have to do is we have to pass on the torch and say, hey, I have to level up so people follow
mm,
my lead, and you have to
mhm,
be here at this obstacle and get people beyond this obstacle because there are, what, infinite levels in life. So
for
at
sure.
some point, you need to let go. All right. And just you and me for an example. Okay. You help me over. You need to go to the next obstacle to show me, because you're the beacon, to show me that
Mhm,
it's okay to leave this obstacle in life. It's
mm.
okay to advance to the next obstacle in life. And it just shows everybody that, hey, we don't have to stay here. We
I
can
like
keep
that.
going. We can keep going here. But it's hard to get over each obstacle, and you have to be willing to help. Yep. Pull
Mhm,
pull each other
mhm.
across, and then advance.
Good stuff, brother. I that
Yeah.
was good. That ain't
Hey, man,
I
real life
got
situations pay off.
got some goosebumps going that one, man. That was good. I ain't
That was a
even,
good
yeah.
one.
I'll let you keep going.
No, I kind of want to end it there, man, because
Yeah,
I when you were talking, that was the first thing that came to my mind is that Loch Ness monster. I got to look up that obstacle. I can't remember if that's the name of it. People are going to be like, "That's not the Loch Ness monster. That's the such
of
and such."
course.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you've done a Tough Mudder, you know what I'm talking about. But there are several obstacles like that where
Mhm.
you have to help somebody up, but then you need to move on to make room for others, and then they can follow suit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I'm no topping on that one, brother. No topping on that one. So,
Yeah.
all right, man. What did we get ready to close transition? Anything you want to drop or
Yeah,
how you want
man.
to do this?
So, guys, everybody that listens to this knows that we're really promoting Step Jam right now. We got Step
For
Jam
sure.
Columbia. We got Step Jam Sewell, New Jersey. On April 12th, we're going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, Charles W. Johnson Field. What we're doing is we're trying to make an impact, worldwide impact. We're collecting lightly used shoes. We're collecting new shoes. For every registration, we take a portion of that registration and we're donating it to our partner, Souls for Souls. On top of that, we're donating to a local women's organization. On top of that, we're going to be giving back to local high schools, local sports clubs, local run clubs. We want to get your run club involved. The reason is because we are not physically anywhere. We're a virtual run club. And we have
Right.
over 4,000 people in that Columbian surrounding area. We need the run clubs locally to show up to our runs to show everybody, hey, I'm here. I'm feet on the ground here in the Columbia area. We want to show people that there are physical run clubs in that Columbia and surrounding area. We've partnered up with E3 Energy. That's our protein energy bar for both step jams. We've also teamed up with Hoist. That's our hydration, our official hydration. Both step jams. We got some great things coming down the pike, and we just hope everybody gets involved. Eager2run.com. Guys, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can get Mount Olive out there too. Oh, also before we go, is actually called the Block Nest Monster.
Good stuff. Block Nest Monster. Yes.
Yeah.
I knew it was something like that. See, I'm not too far
Hey,
off.
it was close, man. Samsonite, man.
Samsonite. Way off.
Way off. All right, y'all, man. Listen, we appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. Make sure you tag a friend, share. If you're watching on your phone on YouTube, or even if you're listening on your phone, just take that screenshot, man. Drop it in your stories, tag us. Let us know you're watching. Shout out to Irmo, South Carolina. Thank you guys for checking us out. And if you want to shout out, you want to holler, leave a comment under this video. We'll try our best to drop a couple of those comments in the next show. Give you a shout out, give you a holler. Maybe we can do a prize. Who knows, man? But till next time, we're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.